Fine. So once again, welcome all for advanced Excel training. So we are meeting for a second day for a second session. So I hope everyone practiced in this 1 week of a time for whatever the topic we discussed on a day one, session one. And here, these are all the topics we covered on a session one, right? So basics of Excel interface. So what is a command tab and what is a command set and what is a command and how to customize a ribbon and then how to add and how to delete a quick access toolbar shortcut and then working with the different ways with a worksheet and how to protect a worksheet and then working with the workbooks. What are the ways we can work with the workbooks and then discuss about the cells and the range and best practices we have to follow when you are working with the Excel range or a cells and then backstage view. So these are all the topics we covered in session one. So we are going to start session two today. So we are going to cover this particular 5 topics for the day. So let's begin with cell reference and then arithmetic operators and then comparison operators and then text concatenation and then mathematical functions. And these are all the 5 major topics we are going to cover for today. Let's start with cell referencing. Let's start with cell referencing and I will tell you what is the need of cell reference and why we have to go for a cell reference and different ways we can achieve this particular cell reference, right? So the main use of going for a cell reference without referencing a particular cell, we cannot work with the Excel formula or a function, right? Cell referencing is mandate for us to work with the Excel function or a formula. So before you work with any of the Excel formula or a function, we need to understand what is cell referencing in a Excel. And we are going to discuss cell referencing in a Excel in a 3 different ways. There are 3 types of referencing is available in a Excel. So I am going to explain these 3 different kinds of references using a different scenario. Here, for all our referencing concept, I am going to use this particular table as examples to understand this particular concept of referencing easily, right? So follow my screen. See here, let's start with a relative reference, right? So let's start with a relative reference. See, in this particular table, you can able to see employee name and hours work and then rate per hour for each employee. That is available in this particular table. We are asked to calculate what is the salary of each employee. I repeat, the scenario here, using this particular table input, we are asked to calculate what is the salary. Here, formula to calculate a salary. Salary equal to hours work should be multiplied with rate per hour, right? So this is the formula we are going to use to achieve the salary here, right? If you don't know what is cell referencing and how to achieve a cell referencing in Excel, how we can calculate this salary? We have to multiply 6 with 1000, right? So this is the salary. And similarly, for a second employee, hours worked is 5, multiply with rate per hour is 2000, right? So we got the output, but here what happens, right? We are manually providing what is the hours work and what is the rate per hour. I repeat, we are manually providing here what is the hours worked and rate per hour for each employee. Right here it is just a 5 cells. It's a small range. Here you can able without a help of a cell reference. But say for example, you are working with a more than 10,000 lines of a data. Right? You are given a very big table with the employee name and hours worked and what is the rate per hour. In this particular case, how we can able to achieve without a cell reference? It is very difficult because for each 10,000 range, in each cell in a 10,000 range, you have to go and provide the formula, type manually. It will be very time consuming process. To avoid this, we are going for a concept called as cell referencing, and we are going to start with the first type, that is relative reference. I will tell you what is relative reference once we are done with this particular scenario. To activate any formula or a function in Excel, we have to begin with a equal to sign. Then here we are going to multiply. Once again. So Tarak has mentioned that no still. I can't understand. Tarak, can you able to hear my voice? Okay, fine. Can you able to see my screen? Just confirm, Tarak, that you can able to see my screen. Yeah, sure. We can start from the beginning. We just started before few minutes. So others, those who joined just now, so I'm going to repeat. So what is the topic for the day? I just started with our first scenario. I will just refresh the today's session, what is going to be covered, right? So these are all the topics we are going to cover for today's session, right? So we are going to learn what is arithmetic operators and what kind of scenarios we can work on it, and then comparison operators, and then text concatenation operator, and then mathematical functions, right? To achieve these different kind of scenarios, arithmetic, comparison, text, and the mathematical functions, understanding of cell referencing is more important when you are working with the Excel. So first we are going to learn what is cell referencing and what is relative, absolute, and a mixed kind of a cell referencing in the Excel, right? So we just started with first scenario here, relative reference, and this is the table we are going to use here to understand this particular scenario. Using hours worked and rate per hour of each employee, we are going to calculate a salary. So that is a scenario here. We are going to calculate a salary here with the help of this particular formula. Salary equal to hours worked multiplied with rate per hour. We are going to achieve this with the help of relative reference. I will tell you what is the meaning of relative reference once we are done with this particular scenario, right? So I told, if you don't know how to refer a particular cell, I mean if you don't know the concept of cell referencing, to calculate a salary for the first employee, what is the hours worked? 6 multiplied with 1000. We have to type it manually. You will get the output, right? But what happens if it is like 1000 or 10,000 rows of a data? It is very difficult task to go and enter manually all the time. So we are going for a concept of cell referencing in Excel. How to achieve that? If you type a formula in a one cell, if you copy paste to the remaining cell, it should work fine, right? So that is the benefit of going for a cell referencing. And now, how to start with a cell referencing, right? To activate a formula or a function in Excel, we have to begin with a equal to sign. And then, what is the hours worked? 6. And what is the cell address of this particular value 6 in a system? It is column number C, and the row number is 12. So C12 is the cell address for first employee for what is the hours worked. So just click on a cell. Just select a cell. Right after providing equal to sign, just select a cell. Multiply. And what is your second input here? Rate per hour. And what is the rate per hour? It is 1000. Instead of typing 1000 here, what we can do, we can just refer to that particular cell. And here, if you look at my screen, I repeat, just refer the cell address. You can refer after providing equal to sign. You can use a mouse. Just select on a cell, multiply with, and then again select a corresponding second input. Press tab to come out of a cell. You will get the output. Or what you can do, equal to sign, you can use keyboard keys. If you use the left arrow, you can able to select the corresponding cell address of hours worked. Multiplied with. Again, just press left arrow one time. You can see the corresponding rate per hour is selected. Now press tab to come out of a cell. You can see in any different ways we try, we will get the output as a 6000 only. But here, if I just press F2 to go inside a cell, what happens? Here, you cannot see what is the value. I mean, what is the hours, what and rate per hour is not displayed here. You can see only the address of a particular cell. Address of a cell value 6 is C12 and address of a rate per hour 1000 is D12. We just provided the reference to a particular cell. So this is called as a cell referencing concept in a Excel. And how benefit it is? Just copy this data and paste it to the remaining range. How to do that? Here I mentioned. Here I mentioned what is the step to copy your formula or a function to the rest of the cells in a range. Select on a cell where your formula is available. Select on a cell and then use Shift plus keep pressing a down arrow. Keep pressing a down arrow to select a range till end of your cell in a range. So I am pressing Shift plus down arrow once. One cell selected. Again down arrow. Again down arrow. Again down arrow till end of your range. You have to select. And what is the third step? Use Control plus D to copy the formula towards the down with formatting. I am just pressing Control D in my system. You can see the formula that is available in a first cell. I mean, formula we applied to the first employee is copied to the remaining employees in a particular range. Now, come down, press F2 for a second employee. You can see the cell reference from first employee, it got changed to a second employee. And again, check for a third employee. It looks fine. And check it for a last employee. Right? It looks fine. So what happens here, when I copy paste towards the down, cell referencing also keep changing one row. So it means that the cell reference is keep changing wherever we copy paste in a particular range. You can see what is a relative reference now. Reference will keep changing wherever you copy paste. I repeat, when a cell reference keep changing when we copy paste to some other place, this kind of referencing is called as a relative. And where it will be beneficial? When you are working with the functions, we will understand very clearly, right, where to use relative reference, where we should not use the relative reference. As of now, understand how cell referencing can be done in Excel and what is the meaning of a relative reference. So, meaning for a relative reference, reference will keep change. When we copy paste towards a down in this particular range, you can copy paste to any of the location, it will change to the corresponding cell address. So this is the use of going for a relative reference, and how it differs from another two kind of a reference, right? So we'll start with the second type of referencing, something called as absolute reference. Here, first I will tell you what is the difference between that scenario with this particular scenario, right? Here also we are going to achieve what is the salary for each employee, right? Our output is going to be the same as like in a previous scenario, but you can see hours worked are very similar as like in a previous table, but the rate per hour mentioned here is 1000 for all the employee, but here the rate per hour is given as a individual rate per hour for each employee here. So that is the difference. Their rate per hour is different in a first table for each employee. For a second table, you can see the rate per hour is going to be common for all the employees. So that is the difference between first table with this particular table. And we'll try to calculate the salary, hours worked multiplied with, I'm using a keyboard up arrow, 1, second time up arrow, third time up arrow. Then I selected D20 as a rate per hour. Press tab to come out of a cell. Right? The same way, how we copy pasted the formula towards the down, we'll use the same method as mentioned here. First, select on a cell and then select the complete range and then press Ctrl D. What happens? For a first employee, the cell reference whatever provided here, it is correct. When I come down, press F2 and see it for a second employee. Hours worked, C24. Yes, it is selected correct. And rate per hour, it is mentioned as D21. But where is our rate per hour available? What is the cell address? It is D20. So it should not be not D21. And here it needs some change. And here it is D22. You can see whenever you copy paste towards the down, the cell reference also keep moving one row below. From 1000, it came to here, then it came to here. It comes below to the range. So you can see all the values except for a first employee looks incorrect. How to solve this scenario? In this case, we have to go for a absolute reference. What is absolute reference? This D20, it should be going to be the same. I mean, the rate per hour 1000 is going to be same for all the employee. So this D20 should get changed from D20 to D21 and then D22 and goes on. Right? This change should not get happen. So what we can do it in Excel to fix this? We can insert a dollar symbol to this particular cell reference so that wherever you copy paste, it won't get changed. I repeat, this particular D20 is going to be same for all the employees. It means that wherever I copy paste in this particular range, this D20 should not get changed. It's going to be the constant or a absolute or a fixed. So what we can do, if we insert a dollar symbol to this particular cell reference, if you copy paste to any other location, it won't get changed. So what we can do here, we can insert a dollar symbol. To insert a dollar symbol, we have the keyboard shortcut that is F4. If you want to insert, you can insert a dollar symbol manually, but I recommend you to go for a keyboard shortcut. Just press F4 once. If you see after pressing a F4, the dollar symbol is inserted. How many dollar symbols? 2 dollar symbols are added for this particular cell reference. Why $2 symbol are added here? Here, $1 symbol is for a D and another dollar symbol is for a 20. And D is your column and 20 is your row. It means that when you press F4 once, dollar symbol will be added by a system to both your column and then row, because each cell reference will have two values. One is column value and another one is the row value. Column value will be given it in a alphabet and row value will be given it in a numerical numbers, right? So here, if I press F4 again in my system, you can see the dollar symbol is added now only to the row. If I press F4 again, you can see the dollar symbol is added to the only D. It is added only to the column. If I press F4 again, dollar symbol are removed. Again F4, it will insert a $2 symbol. This way, if you keep pressing a F4, it will change from $2 symbol to $1 symbol only to a row, and then dollar symbol only to a column, and then nothing. And in this case, we are going to fix the entire cell address so that wherever I copy paste, the same cell value 1000 should be called. So I am pressing tab to come out of a cell. So now use the process of copy pasting towards below. Select on a cell, use shift plus down arrow till end of your range, select, and then press Ctrl D. And now press F2 to a second employee and check. It will work fine. Again F2 for a third employee. The corresponding hours worked is selected and the rate per hour is selected. Similarly, check for a lost employee as well. Rate per hour is 8. Sorry, hours worked is 8 and the rate per hour is 1000. It is selected over here. And here you can see C27. But in a first cell, we given it as a C23. C23 becomes C24, C25, C26 and C27 here, right? If I copy paste this formula towards the down, this particular cell reference, I mean the first cell reference keeps changing. So this particular first cell reference is called as a relative reference, and the second cell reference, we fixed all the both rows and the columns we fixed. So that reference we called it as a absolute reference. So this is the difference between a relative reference and a absolute reference. If I copy paste the relative reference, the reference will keep change, and for absolute reference will be fixed. So that is the meaning of absolute reference. I hope everyone understood, right? So what is a relative reference and absolute reference, right? So any doubt, please let me know. If you understand relative reference and absolute reference, so please confirm by typing yes in a chat window so that we can proceed to a last kind of a reference, that is mixed reference. So others, please confirm if you understood what is relative reference and absolute reference. Fine. So let's go to the last kind of referencing called as mixed reference. So far we learned two different kind of referencing. One is relative and absolute. And now we'll learn what is mixed reference, and before that we'll understand what is this particular scenario all about. Here the scenario is the same employee names are displayed here in the table, and the hours work is different for each employee, and the difference between this table with previous two tables is rate per hour is given it as 4 different values for each employee. for each employee, the rate per hour is given it in 4 different values. Here, if we have to calculate rate per hour for each employee for 4 different values, how to achieve that? We are going to achieve it with the help of a mixed reference. First, cell reference is going to be C35 for a first employee. If I come down to select a second hour's work, if you see, if I come down for another hour's work, if I come down and move up, what is changing and what is constant? If I come down and move up, what is changing and what is constant? Right? See, the column is going to be fixed. Row gets changing from 35 to 36 and then 37, 38, 39. Right? So this way you can able to see what is happening if you copy paste towards below here. So C is going to be constant all the time. So what we can do, we can fix only the C. If I press F4 only once, you can see dollar symbol is added to both column and row. But here only the column is not changing. So again press F4. Again press F4. You can see now dollar symbol is added only to the column because when I copy paste towards the down, column is not changing. So fix that. And multiply with rate per hour. And rate per hour for a first employee and first rate per hour is D34. If I move towards the right for a different rate per hour, what is changing and what is constant? D. Here it is E. F. G. 34 is going to be constant. I mean the row is going to be constant all the time, but the column keeps changing. So let's fix what is constant here. Again F4. You can see now we inserted the dollar symbol only to a row. Press tab to come out of a cell and then select the entire range. Press Ctrl D to copy paste your formula towards down, and another one shortcut here, use Ctrl R to copy paste the formula towards the right. I am just pressing Ctrl R now in my system. Go to the end of a range, press F2 and see whether it is selected a correct rate per hour. Yes, it is selected. Check, it selected a correct rate per hour and hours work. It is selected correct. Press tab. Go to some other cell. Press F2. Check whether correct hours work is selected. 10 correct and 300 yes correct. Fine. So this way we can able to achieve this scenario with help of a mixed reference. So what is mixed reference? In each reference you can see here we just fixed either a row or a column. I repeat, in this particular 2 cell referencing we used. In each cell referencing we just inserted a dollar symbol. I mean we just fixed either a row or a column. So this kind of referencing, mixing, either one we are going to fix. This kind of referencing is called as a mixed reference in Excel. I hope everyone is clear about the concept of mixed reference, right? So please confirm in a chat window if you understand these particular 3 kinds of referencing in Excel, so that we can proceed to the next topic. Fine. See, the cell referencing is going to be the basic for whatever the formula or whatever the functions we work in Excel. Let's begin with the next topic, something called as arithmetic operators. And here we are going to discuss this particular arithmetic operators in 5 different scenarios. So let's sum and then subtract and then multiply, divide and then exponential. So these are all the operators we are going to use in our Excel formula to get some desired output. How we'll start with the first scenario using a sum operator. So let's provide some number here, 10. Let's get the sum of this particular two numbers. How to achieve that? So one question here, what is the shortcut to copy towards the left side? See, we can able to copy this particular range using Control D towards the down, Control R towards the right? So only the two ways you can able to copy. Only the two ways you can able to copy the data in a Excel, either towards the down or towards the right using this particular keyboard shortcut. There is no shortcut available in a Excel to copy towards the left, right? So Excel will work only in this way, starting with the A1, either down, either a right? It won't work towards the left, right? So we'll continue with our scenario here. We are going to get the sum of these two numbers. How to achieve that? Using a arithmetic operator, something called as sum. It is a plus sign. We know the concept of cell referencing. We are not going to type 10 here. We are going to just refer to the what is the value of a cell. B14 plus what is the second cell reference? Number 2. Press tab to come out of a cell. We got 20 as the output. So this way we can able to achieve the sum of two given numbers. And again 10. But instead of a 10, if you have some text, what happens? Just press Control D to copy paste your formula towards the down. Press F2 and see. Cell referencing is correct. That is B15 plus C15. In C15 you can see it as a text. And what is the output? It is a error. We are getting an error. Reason, we cannot add a number with a text. It is not possible. So you are getting an error message stating that we cannot do a addition for this particular number. And similarly, if you are having some symbol, Control D, you can see again you cannot do a sum operation for a special characters. And 10 with some text, Control D and check, right? Number, and you cannot able to add with a number with the text. So that is not possible. And similarly, if I have some text here, what happens? You cannot use a plus operator to get a sum of a two text. So this particular operator can be used only to the number. If it is a text, it will throw you a error message. If you want to understand this error message, you can see, if you just click on a cell, you can see some help icon here. Just click. If you click on help on this error, it will navigate to a web page, Excel help page. It will show you what is this particular error all about. Something wrong with the way your formula is typed, or something wrong with the cells you are referencing. In this particular case, whatever the referencing we did, that is wrong, because we try to add number with the text. And similarly, let's go to a next operator called as a subtract. Let's try to subtract 10 with 5. First cell reference minus symbol and then second cell reference. We will get output as a 5. And similarly 5 here and 10 in as a second number. First reference subtract with the second. You can see the value is minus here because we try to subtract 5 with a minus 10, and in either way we can do. We can provide the cell reference of number 2 first, subtract with cell reference of number 1 as a second value. Press tab now. It will provide you a positive value. So this way you can provide the cell reference based on your reporting need. And similarly in a previous case, we will try to subtract a text with a number. What happens? It will throw you a error message because it is not possible to subtract a number with a text. And similarly, something called as multiply. First cell reference number 1 multiplied with the second cell reference number 2. We will get a 100 as the output. Similarly here 10 multiplied with a negative value. First cell reference multiply with second cell reference. You can see the value as 100 but it is a negative value. As like we do it on a paper, the same way Excel behaves for a minus sign. And then we will try to multiply the number with the text. Again a value error because we cannot multiply a number with the text. Similarly, if you try with any of the special characters, it won't throw you any value. It will throw value error message. And next one, something called as divide operator. 10 with a 5. And whatever we discussed as an operator, we have the alternative way to get it in Excel using a function. So that we are going to see when you are discussing with a statistical function. So whatever we discussed here as an operator, the same can be achieved without operators also using a Excel function. So once we are done with these 4 different kind of operator examples, we are going to start with how we can achieve these particular scenarios without using a operators. How we can achieve it with the functions. We'll start here with the statistical functions once we are done with these particular scenarios. Equal to sign. The first number, you have to use forward slash as a divide symbol in a Excel, and then your number 2. Press tab to come out. You will get a 2. Similarly, number 1 and number 2 is going to be some text. What happens? Just press Ctrl D. You will get a value as a error because you cannot able to divide a number with the text. So it will throw you a value error message. Similarly, we'll try to divide 10 with a 0. Ctrl D. Press F2. You can see cell referencing is correct, but first cell reference is correct and the second cell reference is 0. And here you can see a new kind of error message, something called as div/0. What is this particular error all about? Click on this help icon. Help on this error. See what happens. Microsoft Excel shows div/0 error when a number is divided by a 0, right? So if you try to divide any of your value by 0, you will get an error message as div0. So it is not possible to divide your number by a 0. and the last kind of arithmetic operator here, something called as exponential operator, and this is the symbol we are going to use to achieve this particular concept, right? So when you work it on a paper, right, we will be asked to get the output of 2 power 4. I repeat, this is equal to the concept of power. When you work in a paper, we use the term 2 power 4. 2 power 4 means we have to multiply 2 for a 4 times. 2 into 2 into 2 into 2 for a 4 times. Right? So this can be achieved with the operator. How we can achieve this? 2. And this particular symbol you have to use. And then your second number. Right? So this way we can able to achieve the output of 2 to the power of 4. 2 to the power of 4 is 16. When you do it on a paper, we do it this way, 2 into 2 into 2 into 2. But if you know how to use the exponential operator, you can able to achieve this with the Excel, and we can able to achieve this particular scenario without the use of exponential operator also. Using an Excel function, we can able to achieve that. We will see it in a forthcoming scenarios, how to achieve that without using an operator also. Similarly, if you try to get 2 to the power of some text, what happens? You will get a value error because 2 to the power of text, it is not possible. So that's why we are getting an error message. And whatever the scenario in arithmetic operator, we can able to use the Excel function for an alternative way. And this understanding of what are the arithmetic operators available and how we can use it in an Excel formula is very important. So that's why we spend some quality time here to understand what is the different kind of operators available in terms of arithmetic in an Excel and how to use that in our scenarios, and what are the error messages. You will be getting a 2 different kind of error messages. Normally you will get a value as an error, and sometimes you will get div/0. If you try to divide anything by a 0, you will get this error message. And this particular concept, I hope everyone is clear. So please confirm it in a chat window so that we can proceed to our next concept, something called as comparison operators. So please confirm it in a chat window if it is clear so that we can proceed to our next concept. Thank you. And next concept here, something called as comparison operator, and this particular comparison operator gains more importance when you try to validate some value in a Excel using a Excel formula. When you try to validate some 2 different inputs or more than 2 different inputs, so in that case comparison operator gains more importance. We are going to discuss comparison operator with the help of these 6 operators. We are going to discuss this particular concept with a 6 different scenario. Something called as equal to, and this is the symbol we have to use, and then greater than, this is the symbol, for or less than, this is the symbol, and something called as greater than or equal to. I repeat, greater than or equal to. It means that first greater than symbol followed by equal to sign, and next one is less than or equal to. First less than symbol and then equal to symbol, and the last one is not equal to. So these are all the 6 different operators we are going to use. These are all the 6 different symbols we are going to use to understand the concept of comparison operator in Excel. And I will tell you what is the output. What may be the output. if you use this particular operators in a Excel. If you use a comparison operator, these particular operators are logical in nature. So when I call it as a logical in nature, it will throw you any one of these particular two outputs. It will throw you either a true or a false. It will throw you only the Boolean values. I repeat, comparison of will throw you only two different kinds of output. It will throw you either a true or a false. It won't throw you any other value to the user. Right? So we'll start with a scenario. I am going to use this particular table as a base to understand this particular concept, and we are going to map our output, either it is true or a false, for all the scenarios here. And let's start with the first scenario, how to use a comparison operator for a one number. And we have number 1 here and number 2 here. Let's start with the first comparison operator, something called as equal to. Right? For our clear understanding, I mentioned here what is the operator we are going to use. Towards the right and towards the left, you can see what is the input. Either we are going to use number as an input or a text as an input, and if it is a text, what kind of action we are going to make it on it, so that when you refer it offline, you can able to understand this very clearly. Let's start with formula equal to sign, and what is your first cell reference, your first number, equal to. We are starting with the operator called as a equal to now. And what is the second number? That is 100. D17 is the cell reference. I am pressing tab now in a system to come out of a cell. You can see now, the output is true because the number equal 100 equal to 100. So the logical statement is true here. So we are getting a Boolean value as true. Similarly, we'll try to compare number 1 equal to number 2. Come out of a cell. Here you can see the value is false because we try to compare 200 with the 100. 200 equal to 100. It is false. So we are getting a output as a false. And we can able to use a equal to symbol to compare the text as well. And we are going to discuss 5 different scenarios for understanding the text related concept. First we'll begin with, you can see, what is the text 1? Excel. And what is the text 2? Again it is a Excel. We'll see what is the output. First cell reference and a second cell reference. Press tab to come out of a cell. Right? So you are getting true is the output. Why we are getting true here? Excel, the text is equal to Excel text. So we are getting a equal to sign. And here, the next scenario, text with a space. I repeat, text with a space. When I call it as a text with a space, you can see here, Excel. Again Excel, it is true. Right? It is showing true to the user. Press F2 in any one of your input. I press F2 in a text 1. I am just pressing space bar in my system. So what happens? I am just inserting one space to this particular text at the end. I am pressing tab now. Right? You can see the value is, the output is false. Why we are seeing the output is false? Because we just inserted a space in between. So it means that you can see it in my screen. You can see it in my screen. I mentioned here. Note, in Excel, text is space sensitive. It means that if you add a space with a text, Excel will consider that space is also one of a character. So this particular text is not matching with this particular text. So we are getting a false. But when you look at without going inside a cell, look like both are same. But when you press F2 and C, you can see after a L, there is one space. After that, it is getting activated to type or edit something. So this way, you can able to understand how to work with the Excel terms of a text. Always remember, in a Excel, text is space sensitive. Space is also considered as a one of a character. So it will throw you a false. And similarly, we'll try to pass one number with a uppercase. Here you can see Excel, but in the first number you can see E is given it in a uppercase, and check whether it is correct or wrong. I am just pressing Ctrl D so that we can able to copy paste the formula towards the down. You can see the value here, output is true. Excel equal to Excel, but in the first text you can see the E is given it in a uppercase, but in a second text you can see E is given it in a lower case, but you can see the output as true. What is the reason? Right? Look at the note. User can pass text in any case. In a Excel, text is not case sensitive. Right? So it is very important when you are working with a Excel formula or a function or any of a condition formatting, whatever it is very important to understand that difference between a space and a uppercase or a lower case. In a Excel, text is not case sensitive. I repeat, in a Excel, text is not a case sensitive. You can pass it in any way. And text, next scenario, text with uppercase all, right? So I just typed all the text as a uppercase, and here everything as a lowercase. Copy paste the formula. You can see it as a true, because if you pass it as a uppercase or a lowercase, Excel will consider only the value, not the uppercase or a lowercase of a text. So you are getting output as true. And next scenario here, we'll try to pass a different kind of a text. Excel is the first text and training is a second text. And see what is the output, false, because it is very clear that Excel is not equal to training text. So we are getting a output as a false. And so we discussed many different scenarios with related to equal to sign. Let's proceed with the next kind of operator, something called as greater than. So let's do it for a number. 100 is the first number and 200 is the second number. And what is the output? Equal to sign. First cell reference for a 100, greater than. Insert a greater than symbol. Again, refer to the second cell reference. Press tab now. You will go out of a cell and you can see output is false. Why? 100 is greater than 200. Right? It is very clear that 100 is not greater than 200. So we are getting it as a false. And again, another one scenario in a greater than. 200 is greater than 100. Yes, it is true. We are getting a 2 as a output. And similarly, next kind of a operator, something called as less than. 100 and 200 here. 100 cell reference, less than symbol, and then provide the second number here. Press tab to come out of a cell. 100 is less than 200. Yes, it is true. So we are getting output as true here. And similarly, the next operator called as not equal to. Not equal to. Equal to the first cell reference. Symbol for not equal to operator is, you have to start with a less than symbol and a greater than symbol. Then refer to your second cell reference, D27. Press tab. You can see the output is true because we try to say Excel text is not equal to training text. Yes, it is not equal to. So we are getting an output as a true. And we learned operator called as equal to, how to use it for a number and a text, and then greater than, less than, not equal to, and where we can actually apply this particular concept in your business case, where we can apply this kind of operators in a business case. So this is the case, right? So I am going to consider this particular table, name of an employee and what is the target of a sales that is expected from each employee is given here. Say for example, the employee named as John, the target given to John is 500 per month. So this is the sales volume is expected from John per month, and John has done actual sales is 400. Target is 500, but he has done only 400. It means that he is not performed well. And similarly, how we can derive at, because by looking into this particular only one row of data, you can able to see that 500, 400. We can able to summarize orally. But if it is like 1,000, 10,000 lines of data, right? What is the target sales? Actual sales are given. You want to confirm whether the performance is good or not. How to do that? We'll solve this scenario with a greater than or equal to operator. Refer to the first cell reference, 500, greater than or equal to the actual sales. Target sales should be greater than or equal to the actual sales, right? You can as the true. You can see it in my system. I will make it as target given is, see, the target given for John is 500 and the actual sales done by John is 400. We try to compare the target sales. 500 is greater than or equal to 400. Yes, it is true. So we are getting a output as a true. And we can do it in a reverse way also. Equal to sign, 500 less than or equal to 400. Come out of a cell. You can see it as a false, right? In this case, the target given for Bax is 500, but he has done the actual sales only for a 400. So he is not performed well. So using this, we can able to confirm that if it is a false, he performed below than what is expected, right? So this way we can able to use greater than or less than operator in your regular business case. And to understand this better, I am providing a equal to sign first and then less than symbol next. If I press tab, what happens in my system? Microsoft Excel found an error in the formula you entered. Do you want to accept the correction proposed below? C31 less than or equal to D31. So that is what expected from my Excel, right? If you make any typo error for less than or equal to, if you start with the equal to sign and then if you provide less than symbol, it won't accept. If you press yes, automatically the operators will get changed to a correct format, and then you can see the output. And this way, in a different ways, you can able to use the comparison operators in a Excel. I hope everyone is very clear about where we can use these particular operators and how we can use it, right? And make a note that in a Excel, text is space sensitive, but the text is not case sensitive. I repeat, the text is only a space sensitive, not a case sensitive in a Excel. We are going to use this particular thumb rule in all of your forthcoming scenarios. So please type yes if you understand this particular concept of comparison operator, so that we can proceed to a next concept. Fine. So we'll start with the next concept for today's session, something called as. So Sanjay is asking, let's have a 5-minute break. Fine. We can go for a 5 minutes break, and we'll start exactly. We'll start exactly by 8:45. Now the time is 8:39. We'll go for a short 5 minutes break. We'll start again by 8:45. Right? I'm going to just pause my screen sharing now. So I am coming back in another 5 minutes. So please be on time so that everybody will be on a same page. Thank you. Right, I'm just resuming the recorder back. Fine. So we have two more concepts that is planned for today. So that is something called as text concatenation and then mathematical functions. So these are the remaining two more topics we are going to discuss today. Right? So string concatenation can be done in two different ways. Right? So one is using a AND operator, and second one is using a function called as concatenation. Right? So we can able to achieve it in either one way. Right? So for this particular concept, we are going to see how operators can be used in a Excel formula. So let's try to focus how to achieve a string concatenation using a AND operator in our scenarios. So I'm going to use this particular table. I am going to use this particular table as a base to discuss the different concepts available with the string concatenation using a AND operator. And let's start with the first scenario here. Join two strings. How to join a two strings? And here Excel is going to be the text 1 and training is going to be the text 2. How we can achieve this? Activate a formula using a equal to sign, cell reference, Provide the cell reference of a first cell. And here use a operator and is used to concatenate a string, and provide your second cell reference training. Press tab now to come out of a cell. You can see the output is Excel training. And similarly, how we can join three strings equal to sign. First number concatenate using a AND symbol, and second number provide the cell reference, and again include a AND operator and take the third number. Press tab now. You can see the output as Excel training session 2. So it is not limited to 2 strings or 3 strings. You can able to add a n number of strings using the AND operator. You can proceed with. And next scenario here, with data in a different range or a column. And before that, I received one query here, how to put space in between the cells, like Excel space training. Yes, so that will be discussed here in this particular scenario. We are going to discuss that. So we have remaining 3 to 4 scenarios. Post to that, we will see that scenario, how to add a space. Right. So here, this scenario is going to be how to concatenate a multiple string, right, with a different range or a column value as the input, equal to sign. First, text concatenate with the second text. Again, an AND operator. So what we can do here, come down and select the name here, and then again a AND symbol. Come down and select this particular name here, right? So this way, using adding a AND operator, you can able to select whatever the text you want to concatenate. Press tab now to come out of a cell. You can see John training John Bax, right? So this way, Excel training John Bax. If you change the value of a cell, it will get auto populated here. And the next one, join a multiple strings from a different worksheet. How we can achieve a string concatenation between a different. First, select the corresponding cell reference. Provide a AND symbol and select the corresponding sheet, where from which sheet you want to get the cell reference. Select the sheet now. You can see in my screen C12 AND operator, and here within a quote you can see what is the sheet name, that is arithmetic operator, and select whatever the value you want to join, and you can see here C12 AND symbol, and then what is the sheet name, and then finally you can see what is the corresponding cell reference. If I just press tab in my system, it will go back to the original sheet where you have your formula. Here you can see the output as Excel divide. If you press F2, you can see what is the cell reference, C12 AND operator and B7, and from where it takes the B7, from the sheet named as arithmetic operators. This way we can able to provide the reference with a multiple worksheets. And the next scenario here, join a multiple strings from different workbooks all together. To understand this, I just opened one new workbook. I will just type it here as session 2. We'll have this in a sheet 2. We'll come back to we'll activate sheet 1. Come back to your original workbook. Let's see how to achieve that. Equal to, select first cell reference, concatenate, come down and select your corresponding workbook, and within this workbook which sheet you want to select. Sheet 2, you can see C13 and symbol, and within a bracket you can see what is the workbook name, that is book 2 is the workbook name here. So you can able to see book 2 here, and what is the sheet name? Sheet 2 is the sheet name, and within book 2, within a worksheet named as sheet 2, select your corresponding cell reference. Press tab. If I press tab, it will go back to your original workbook and original sheet and to the original range where you started this particular formula. So this way, if you press F2, you can see here C13 and operator, reference of E7. It starts from workbook level, book 2, and then worksheet level, sheet 2, and then range level, E7. So this way you can able to join a multiple string from a different workbook. And let's go to a next scenario here, adding a space in between a string. This particular scenario gains more importance, so that's why I highlighted it in a different fill color. I repeat, how to add a space in between a string. So that is the concept here. Say for example, Excel training is the text. We'll try to concatenate a string as Excel space training. How to achieve that? Equal to first cell reference and symbol, and before you refer to your second cell reference, right, we expected outcome is Excel space training. So we need to provide a space. How we can achieve that? I already told that in a Excel, space is also considered as a one of a character. So space is another string here. How to provide that? Right? Double quotes, space, again double quotes. I repeat, we are going to add a space in between the two strings. For that, you have to provide the space in between a double quotes. Right? How many space you add between a double quotes, that will be displayed to the user. And symbol, and what is the second string? Right? C14, that is Excel, joined with a space. We given a space within a double quotes, and join space with a training, Excel training. Press tab. You can see there is a space. You can see now there is a space that is added in between a two strings. Right? I hope, Ahmad, I answered to your query now. Please confirm if you understand this scenario. Fine. And the next scenario here, add a custom text in between a string or at any position of a string. Say for example, Excel training is the text we are going to join, but I want the output as today session is on Excel training. Today's session is not a available text, but how to get that in a output using a string concatenation concept. Equal to, I told, whatever you provide within a double quote, that will be displayed to the user. right? So I just typed the text, today's session is on, space, under double quotes. So I provided this particular text within a double quote. So this is considered as a one text and symbol. Today's session is on Excel. So refer your corresponding cell reference, and Excel space is needed. So provide a space in between a double quotes. Again a unsymbol. Refer to your second text. So the output is going to be today's session is on Excel space training. Here we passing this particular text as a constant within a double quotes. So I repeat, whatever you give in a double quotes, the directly displayed to the user without any changes. Whatever you provided within a double quotes, that will be displayed to the user all the time. Press tab now. You can see today's session is on Excel training. Right? And then another one scenario here. Add a symbols in between a string. How to achieve that? Refer to your corresponding cell reference, and within a double quotes I told you can type whatever you want. Right? We just typed some symbols here. Again a double quotes. Again a unsymbol, and refer to your second text. Press tab. You can see now the symbols are getting added in between your first string with the last string. So it means that whatever you provide within a double quotes, that will be displayed to the user all, right? And typically where we will use this particular concept, string concatenation, in our Excel reporting. Say for example, first name is given in one column and the second name is given in some other column. You are asked to get what is the full name of each employee. Say for example, here I mentioned just two rows of data, right? You are having a 10,000 or 1,000 lines of data. How to get that? It is very difficult to manually copy and paste to concatenate. If you know the operator and operator, then you can easily achieve. First name, concatenate within a double quotes, provide the space. Again unsymbol, and then select the second name. Press tab now to come out of a cell. John space back. That's it. Right? We know the concept. Select the entire range. Control D. That's it. Right? We got the output for a second employee as well. So similarly, if you copy paste the same formula to the entire table or a range, you will get the full name of an employee. So this is the use of going for a concept of string concatenation. Right? I hope this concept is clear to all. So please type yes if you understand this scenario, so that we can proceed to a next concept. Fine. So we are going for the next concept here, something called as mathematical functions. Right? So these are all the functions that is related to mathematical functions in Excel, right? So as of now, we understood how to use different operators, like how to use arithmetic operator, how to use a comparison operator, and then how to use a text and operator, right? So we are going to discuss now the concept of mathematical functions. So I'll be back in a minute. 1 second. So we are going to start with a new concept here, something called as mathematical functions. So we are going to understand the mathematical functions here with 8 different scenarios. So let's start with something called as product. And earlier in arithmetic operator, you discussed about how to get a multiplication of two numbers using this particular operator, that is star in Excel. How to achieve that with the Excel function. Right? If you just type just few characters in Excel for a function, you can see what is the list of functions available in Excel that will be displayed to the user. You can use up arrow or down arrow to select whatever the function you want. So I want the product of a number. So let's select the product function. And similarly, you can see it towards the right hand side. What is the hint that is provided for each function? Multiplies all the numbers given as arguments. So it means that whatever the number you pass it in this particular function, that will be multiplied and shown the result to the user. I just selected this particular function, product. How to activate? Press tab. Press tab to activate a function. I repeat, don't use enter. If I use enter, sometimes it will work fine, sometimes it will throw you an error message. So always use up arrow or down arrow to select a particular function and then press tab to activate the same. And you can see the input. It is asking for what is the first input, number 1 is 12, comma. If before I type comma, you can see number 1 is in a bold. So number 1 you are going to provide now, comma. Now you can see number 2 is in a bold. Once again. Okay, fine. I hope Sanjay you can able to see my screen properly now, yes? Okay. So I repeat, after you press comma, you can see the number 2 is activated in my system, that is bold. It means that you are going to provide the second number now. Right, you are going to provide second number now. You can see in number 1, there is no bracket, but for second input you can see there is a bracket. It means that wherever you see this kind of a bracket, it means that this particular inputs are optional in this particular function. To understand this, what I will do, I am not going to provide you the second number. Just come out. You can see output as 12. So it means that it won't throw any error message if you don't have the number 2 also in a system. Comma. What is the second number here? Select the corresponding cell reference. Right? By providing a comma, you can add whatever the values you want. Close bracket, come out of a cell. You can get the same output as 96. Right? You can use a multiplication operator to get the output, or you can use function named as product to get the same kind of output, right? So using a product, first number, second number, if you want, you can add whatever the number you want that to be multiplied, comma, close the bracket and come out of a cell, right? So this way, without using the multiplication operator, you can able to get the product of n number of values in Excel. And the second function here, something called as quotient. It is very equivalent to divide by, that is the backslash we discussed. We discussed about something called as a forward slash to divide a number. So this particular function is going to be the alternative to that particular operator. Select a particular function by pressing tab. Activated. You can see it in my system. Here you cannot provide a multiple inputs. It is asking for only two different kinds of input. First one is numerator and the second input is denominator. Only the two values we can provide. Numerator is 500, comma, denominator is activated now. Provide the cell reference of a denominator. Just close bracket, press tab to come out of a cell. You can see 10 is the output, but press F2. It is the same cell reference, C9 divided by a D9. But you can see what is the output, 10.20408. But you can see here, it is a round off value. It ignores the decimal values, whatever this particular actuals, right? So this is the difference between using this quotient function and doing a divide using this particular operator, right? And then next function, something called as square root. And you can read the hint. Returns the square root of a number. Press tab to activate a function. You can see in a first function, n number of inputs we can provide. In a quotient function, you can provide only two inputs. In this particular function, square root, you can able to provide only one input, that is number 1. If I try to provide any other cell reference, what's happening, right? You can see the warning message. You have entered too many arguments for this function, right? So it is not possible. So what we can do, it will highlight you what is the extra reference we provided here. Just delete. Again, if you try to come out of a cell, again it will show you have entered too many arguments because you can see it as a comma. So again delete a comma. Press tab, it will work now, right? So square root of number 25 is 5, right? And the next function, something called as power. This particular function is very equivalent to the operator we use, exponent we use, 2 to the power of 3, 2 into 2 into 2. So how we can achieve that? Using a function. So there are two inputs it is asking from a user. Number, comma, power. What is the number? 2. If I press comma, you can see the number is in bold now. If I press comma, you can see power is in bold. It means that whatever the input you are going to provide now, that is going to be considered as a power. Right? D11 is going to be the power now. Close the bracket. Press tab to come out of a cell. Right? You will get output as 8. 2 into 2 into 2 or 2 exponential operator. 2 cap 3. Right? So these are the two alternative ways we can achieve it with the help of a function as well. And next function, something called as int. You can see what is the int provided for this particular function called as int. Int rounds a number down to the nearest integer. I repeat, this particular function will round down. So make a note, it will round the number towards the down, only down to the nearest integer. 2.9, close bracket, come out of a cell. You can see output as 2 because this particular function will round a particular number to the nearest integer, right? When it comes to, it rounds to the down, it won't go to 3. It will come down to the least position, 2.9. It becomes 2 only. and here 3.1 will change the reference int, press tab to activate. Let's check it for a 3. 3.1. It will round off to 3. So this is the use of going for a function called as int, integer. Whatever the value it, how many decimal point it is. If I type it as whatever decimal point after 2, it will ignore whatever you type after a decimal point. Right? It will round off to the nearest value. What happens if I provide 0? You can see the integer value is 0. What happens if I make it as -1 and -1.45? Right? You can see it rounds off to -2. But if you are providing a positive value as 1.45, it will go to the nearest value as 1. But if you given it as a minus value, the value becomes negative. So that's why it rounding off to the nearest value as 2. So this is the difference between using an integer function for a positive value and a negative value. And next function, something called as round. And these three functions are interrelated. So this follows some rule type. I will tell you what is the rule type. So here I mentioned, I will tell you how it works. Right. So let's begin with the function called as round here. So I am using up arrow to down arrow to select the corresponding function, and then I am pressing tab now. And here you can see it is asking for only two different types of inputs. That is, first one is a number and how many digits you want to retrieve. To make it very simple, I am going to retrieve with 0 digits to understand how this particular concept works with 3 different scenarios. Number is going to be our 10.574, comma, number of digits, let's make it as 0. I am going to round it off with 0. Close bracket, come out of a cell. You can see the value as 11. Similarly, if I type 10.4, the same function I am going to use here. Right? See, your output is 11, but here the output is 10. But here the same value 10 dot something, here also 10 dot something, but 10.574 change it to 11, but 10.4 change it to a 10. Reason, this is the rule that is followed here. Rule, if value is greater than 0.5, I am talking about after the decimal point. If a value is greater than 0.5, we will return the next value. Compare this rule in our scenario here. 10.574. I repeat, 10.574 dot 5. So this value dot 5, it is greater than dot 5. So it will return a next whole number. So what is the next number to 10? It is 11. So that's why it is displaying it as 11 here. And the rule 2, if a value is less than 0.5, I repeat, the rule 2, if a value is less than 0.5, will return the same value. Here, 10.4. Dot 4 is less than dot 5. So it returns the same value. So this is the two rule type that is used by Excel round off function to return a value. I hope everyone clear about this particular concept of round with the two different scenarios, right? If it is more than, I just type it as a 10.6, 10.7, whatever the value it is, 10.8, 10.9, whatever the value it is, it will throw it as a 11 only. Here, if I change it to 10.3, again a 10, 10.4, 2, 10.1, right? It's going to be the same value because it follows only the two rule types, less than 0.5 or a greater than 0.5 rule. I hope everyone is clear about this particular concept of round, right? So please type yes if you understand this concept so that we can go to a next scenario, something called as round down and round up. So let's start with the function called as round down now, right? Reagent for a round down. Rounds a number down towards a 0. I repeat, rounds a number down towards a 0 always. This is the number, comma, 0 digits, close bracket, come out of a cell. You can see the value is 10. If I make it as 10.2, again it is 10. If I provide greater than 5, if I provide 6, what happens? Again it is 10 only. But if I provide 10.6 or 11.6, here you can see 12 is the output if you use a round function. If I provide same 11.6 here, what happens? Here it returns only the 11, but here it returns the 12. It means that it follows only the one rule type. It follows only the one rule type, that is whatever the value you provide after a decimal point, it won't consider. It will round off. It will round off to the least number, that is 11 here. If I provide it as 11.9 also, it will round off to only the 11. This is the concept behind a round down. And similarly, another one function called as round up. I am pressing tab to activate. Select your corresponding cell reference, comma, and the number of digits. Let's go by a 0 to understand this concept clear. Press tab to come out of a cell. Round up. I just given it as a 10.1 only. If I provide 10.1 in a round function, you can see it only 10 because it falls under a rule 1 or a rule 2. Here, only one rule. Whatever the value you provide after a decimal point, it won't consider. If it is a decimal point, it will round to the next nearest value. You can read the hint. You can read the hint here. Rounds a number up away from 0. So that is the concept here. Your number, comma, digit, come out of a cell. You can see it as 11. If I type it as 10.3, it's going to be 11 only. If I provide as 10.9, again 11 only. 10.0, we'll check with 10.0. Right? If I provide 10.0, what happens? It shows only 10 because it has no decimal point. If I provide it as 1, you can see 11. If I provide it as 2, the difference between round down and round up. Round down will down to the nearest least value, and round up will take to the nearest next bigger value, that is 11 here. And here 11.9 round to the whole number 11. And this round function will go with two different kinds of rule type. So this is the difference between round and round down and round up, right? So these are all the functions that fall under a concept of mathematical function, something called as product and something called as quotient and something called as square root, power, integer, round, round down and round up. So I hope everyone is clear about this concept. So please let me know if you have any doubts, or just confirm by typing yes, so that we can touch base with the statistical functions. Fine. So the next concept here is going to be statistical functions in Excel, right? So I have more scenarios here to understand how function works in Excel. So I am having close to 13 different scenarios with me to understand how statistical functions are working in Excel. I am going to use this particular sales amount range for the entire 13 scenarios to discuss. Let's start with the first function here, something called as a sum. I'm just going to type SUM. You can see what is the list of functions available starting with SUM, and you can see if I keep pressing down arrow, the hint also will get changed. So you can read the hint and you can select whatever the corresponding function you want to select. So I want to activate a sum function now, so I am pressing tab in my system. So it is asking for what is the number 1, and if you want we can provide this way: number 1 and number 2 and number 3 and number 4. You can provide the cell reference, each cell reference as each number, or you can provide the entire range. You can able to provide the entire range, right? You can select the entire range as a one single number and close the bracket and come out of a cell. So everything will get you the same kind of output. You can provide each cell reference one by one as each number, or you can select the entire range in as a single number. So both the ways it will work fine. And the next scenario is going to be same sum function, but how to do that with a selective sum. So what is selective sum? Number 1 is going to be some range, comma. Number 2, what we can do, we can select some other range in a some other position, comma. You can select here some range, close bracket, press tab to come out of a cell, right? You can see the output here. So this way you can pass the entire range as your number 1, or some range as a number 1 and some other range as a number 2 and some other worksheet range as a number 3, and goes on, right? So this way we can able to achieve a selective sum. And one question is posted here: how is NA considered as number? See, I am just going to select only the number. I am not selected a NA text. You can see it in my system. You can see it in my system. What is the sum? It is 30,000. So it means that sum function, it won't consider text for adding something, right? But when we discuss about the operator, we use equal to 4,500 plus we try to add with the text. So that time that will throw you a error, right? But if you use a sum function will, I repeat, see here, adds all the numbers in a range of a cells. So in a given range of a cell, it will consider only the numbers. It will ignore whatever the text. It will ignore whatever the blank that is available in a particular range. I repeat, in a particular range, this particular sum function will consider only the numbers for a addition. It won't consider the text and the blank that is available in between. I hope I answered to your question, Agmat. Please, yes, if you understand this concept, yes, thank you. Right? So this way we can able to use a sum function in a different ways. You can pass the entire range as a single input, or you can provide multiple range as a separate number as well. So in both the case it will work fine, right? And if I select some range in my system, right, you can see the status bar of a Excel. You can see the average of this particular given number and what is the count of this particular given range and what is the maximum value and what is the sum. If I just unselect a range, you cannot see anything here. If I select any one cell, you cannot see anything in the status bar. If I select more than one, if I select more than one cell in a system, you can see the status bar is activated automatically for this particular calculations by default. How it is coming by default in my system? If you provide a right click in your system, you can see the list of available options. You can uncheck at any time. If I uncheck this particular count, if I come out, I cannot see what is the count. Again, right click, select whatever you want, you can select. So so that status bar you can see what is the corresponding output for the selected range, right? If I select this particular range, you can see this much of calculations can be done by a Excel automatically. It will be shown to the user, right? So for easy use of whatever the calculation you do on your report, you can use this particular option in a status bar. Right click, select whatever you want, and then from a next time whatever you select in a range, the desired output will be shown to the user all the time, right? So this way we can do this. And we have something called as count function, count A, count blank, and derived functions in count, and then functions related to average A, and derived function overall average, and max, min, and min function, right? So this particular function we are going to see it in a session 3, and we are going to learn in depth about the functions in a Excel, right? You can see what is the planned topic for a next session, that is statistical operations. We just started with a sum function, right? We are going to continue with count A, count blank, and sum if yes, and then count if yes, and then median, and then conditional formatting rule 1. So that is what planned for session 3, and we are going to meet again tomorrow same time 7:30 for our session 3, right? So that is what planned for session 3, right? So let's stop for today by this. So we'll meet again tomorrow same time by 7:30. So I'm going to stop the recording now.